Good morning, everybody out there in Swgoh land. Today, I would like to talk a little bit more about mod filtering. And I've done a video on this in the past, but we want to get a little bit more restrictive here, especially because there is a lot of new blood in the game, especially since the 10th anniversary. There are a lot of people that don't really fully understand or know how to utilize the mod filtering system in the game. There has been a growing trend on Discord and Reddit of people who are increasingly frustrated by that 500 non-equipped mod limit. They feel like that limit should be increased to 1,000 or more. And while I wouldn't necessarily not be supportive of that change, those players generally sit at 490 out of 500 mods, and they don't realize that a lot of the mods in their inventory are complete crap. In fact, from my experience and from talking to a few Discord friends who have looked these things up, in general, every single time somebody complains about that problem in game, it is without a shadow of a doubt that their mod score is terrible. And that isn't to say that they're at fault, it's just that they don't fully understand the system. So, what I have put together is a set of I'd say mediocre to heavy filter mods that bring me down to about 300 to 325 usable mods anytime that I use them. These are filters that are intended for late game and end game use. And while you definitely can use them in the early and mid game if you'd like to set yourself up right very early, it's going to put you in a position where you maybe aren't getting enough mods for how quickly you are moving ahead. So if you find yourself in that position, I strongly recommend looking up my first video on this subject and maybe using a less restrictive filter for now. But again, if you want to set that standard early, you can be my guest. So, with that said, let's get into it. For those of you that don't know or don't realize there is a mod filtering system in game, and maybe you realize and you just don't understand how to use it, I cannot stress enough how important the system is. Now, I will again stipulate that the modding system in game is really not that great, and it is very restrictive on what we are and aren't allowed to do, and that is problematic because there are third party tools in the game that kind of set players up in a better standard, except you have to pay for them. And that kind of sucks when you feel like you have to pay for something additional on top of the game that you are playing. Now, that is neither here nor there. I just want to stem up and nip in the bud the questions and the comments that I'm going to get later on from players who say, oh, well, we should be able to do this. And I understand and I agree, and I am fighting that fight, but this is not about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to head into our manage mods, right? And we're going to hit filters, and you can see that I have a laundry list, like quite a few. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 filters that I go through before I decide if a mod is usable for me. And I'm going to go through each one of those and explain it to you so that if this is a system that you want to set up, you can easily do that. Right now, I am at 379 out of 500 mods, so I don't know if my filters will capture everything or capture that much, but we'll go through them because I don't want to wait a week for me to hit that 500 cap. So that first one is my offense arrow sell. And this is basically me selling any arrow for an offensive style set that has a defensive style primary. If I am going to use an offensive style set, then I am not going to want a defensive style primary on there, right? It doesn't make sense for me to want defense percent or health percent if I am trying to do more damage with a character. Okay, so this is the first thing that I'm doing to get rid of a mod before I even level anything up. That second filter is my utility arrow cell. And this is where I am looking at any arrows in a utility set, a speed, a potency, a tenacity, and I am getting rid of any of the primaries that I am highly unlikely to be using if I want to use a utility style arrow, right? So you can see not too restrictive here. We're just looking at the two sets and offense arrows. I'm going to sell. Utility arrows, I have none right now. The next thing I'm going to look at is my triangles and my crosses for offensive sets. And I'm going to, again, look for defensive style primaries. So things that I would really never want to have on one of those shapes, right? So for a crit chance, for crit damage or an offense boost, I'm not going to want a defensive primary. I'm not going to want accuracy percent. I'm not going to want health percent or protection percent. Now, accuracy percent is only on arrows right now, but I still have it in there just as a catch all. And you can see nothing else in the filter, super easy, right? And I do have a couple things here. This one mod that is locked, I have kept because it is part of a raid set from before I started getting very restrictive with my mods. The next thing is my defensive primary cell. And this is where I want to get rid of all my defensive primaries for any type of set where I wouldn't want a defensive primary. And I do have arrow in here, but for the most part, this is going to be caught in my offensive arrow cell. It's just a redundancy that I've thrown in just for the sake of it. But for my triangles and for my crosses, any of these sets, it's highly, highly, highly unlikely that I'll ever want a defensive primary. So we're going to get rid of those two. I don't have that many of them. Those just seem to be old mods, and that's okay. Now, the next one is not a cell mod. This is just for revealing secondaries. And this is where I say, okay, you know what? I am at a point where I am okay spending the credits and making sure that everything has all four secondaries on it. After that, I'm going to my no speed cell filter. This no speed cell filter is going to look at every single one of my mod slots. It is going to filter out for primary speed so that it does not catch any of my arrows that have a primary speed, and is going to get rid of anything that does not have a speed secondary, right? So right here, this is where we get a little bit more intense. We're going to filter those out. I see I have quite a few of those, bringing me down to 341 mods. Next, I'm going to go for my gray less than 5 speed filter. So this only hits gray mods. It only hits things that have one slice count, which would be any gray mod anyway. And it looks for anything under 60% average slice quality. Now, you're still going to hit 4 speed mods that are just below the mod quality slice for 5, and that is okay. I still keep those, I still roll those. It's the way that mod slicing works, where it's a specific number. I think it's 0 out of 10,000, if I remember correctly. But it's a pain in the ass and it's very complicated. All that you need to know is that once you run this filter, there may be some 4 speed mods that it doesn't catch, and those ones are generally still worth keeping. Once I get past my gray less than 5 speed cell, I'm going to my level 1 to 12. I'm going to bring all of my remaining mods up to level 12. Every mod here is worth seeing all of the rolls. The next one is my 1 speed roll cell. All right. And um, this is a mod filter for looking at anything that is not gray. And you can see we exclude grays down here. Anything that is at least level 12. This is just a redundancy and only has equal to 1 speed, right? And I look at those and I see, and sometimes you have gold mods in here, and those gold mods not worth it. They have 1 speed roll. Nobody's taking those to 6E unless you are completely desperate. Once I get past my 1 speed roll cell, I'm going to just look at my low speed rolls, right? And my low speed rolls are looking at anything that does have speed in the secondary. It has 2 slices, so less than 3 slices, an average slice quality less than 60%, and at least level 12 for anything that is D through A tier. So once again, I'm looking at all of these things just to look at slice qualities that are not very good at all. So I go through, I see I have one locked mod that is part of a raid priority set from before I started my mod filtering, and I don't want to reset those mods. So I keep that there for now. I'll get rid of it once Order 66 is done. I'm going to go to my low speed cell 2 filter. And my low speed cell 2 filter is now looking for mods that have 3 slices on them, but less than a 40% quality. So we're trying to dumb this down. And I'm saying, hey, I do have 3 slices. That's not too terrible. I can use these mods even if they're not the best mods, but I want to get rid of the worst ones. So less than 4 speed slices are really equal to 3 speed slices and have an average slice quality of 40% or less, right? And these are going to be the very, very low end of the spectrum. And I am looking at those things and I see that, hey, I've just got that one mod left. Super cool. Awesome. I'm happy. Nothing to sell. Now, this is where we get into the very restrictive part of these mod filters. This is my offense, no offense filter. And that offense, no offense filter basically looks at my 2 offensive sets. And I could throw my 2x, my crit chance in there, but for now, I'm leaving it just to my crit damage and my offense. If you want to throw crit chance in there as well, you 100% can. I am filtering for all primaries except for offense percent. And I am looking for mods that do not have offense percent on them, right? Doesn't have offense percent. Basically, if I have an offense set mod, I want it to have offense percent on it. I don't want to waste my time on mods that are going to suck. And if it doesn't have offense percent, it is not worth keeping, right? We're going to filter out right now. I have 2. Again, this one is probably part of a raid set. So we're going to get rid of this crit chance mod, 13 speed, but no offense at all on it. It's worthless to me. So let's get rid of that. We're going to do the same for defense sets. So any defense set, I'm going to filter for everything except for a defense primary item. This up top does not need to change at all, right? Because I do want, if I have a speed arrow with a defense set, I do want it to have defense percent on it as well. We're filtering for defense percent as a secondary stat, doesn't have defense percent on it. All of this is kind of cleaned up with nothing at the bottom. We're going to filter. Right now, I have nothing because I cleaned this out just a few days ago. The final filter here is my all flat filter, right? And this goes for every single type of mod. I am filtering for defense, protection, and health. So 3 out of 4 flat stats only, all on the same mod. We're not going to have any mod that has all force flat stats, right? With offense being the final one. Technically speed, but we don't talk about it in that way. Um, because we've already filtered for things that do not have any speed on it at all. But these are my 3 flat stats otherwise, and I'm just looking for mods that have those 3. And that's basically a speed mod with all flat stats. I don't want that. I don't want it at all right now. Again, because I got rid of my mods in the last couple of days, I don't have any of those to sell. You can see that right now I know it's a little bit cut off, but I have 330 out of 500 total mods when I used to sit around 450 to 460. This means that I now only have to run mod filters like once a week, maybe once every 7 to 10 days, and I don't have to worry about capping constantly. Now you could add some more all flat filters down here by rearranging this and say, hey, I don't want offense, defense, protection. I don't want defense, health, offense. But at that point, I'm getting into redundancies that I can kind of filter out on a case by case basis on my own. The final filter is my speed check filter. This is nothing to do with selling things. It is just a simple um, mod filter for being able to see what mods I have and what might be worth slicing, right? And I can go to the top to see what is worth putting on a character or attempting a final slice, or I can go to the bottom here and I can see what is worth using my materials on, right? And now I know without even really having to look at any of these mods, hey, everything here is semi worth putting some work into. Some players may say that they do not want a 2 roll on a yellow or on a purple item. And I don't necessarily agree or disagree with those things, but I am at a point where I do still want to look at them. And I do still want to see if these secondary stats are worth taking a chance. That is the point of mod filtering. It is not necessarily to say every single mod that you roll is an amazing mod, but that every single mod that you look at past that point is at least worth looking at. So I hope you find this helpful. And if you do implement it, I hope that it makes your life a little bit easier when dealing with your mods and the modding system in game. If you did find this video helpful, obviously subscribing does help me and it does impact the things I do in a beneficial way. But with that, peace out. Have a great rest of your day.